It's Marilyn Hawes with my show Heart and Soul this morning again. I just want to throw a question out there. Many of you last week would have had joyful A-level results, hopefully, and your offspring are going to be trotting off to the next chapter of their life to probably with mixed feelings, a little bit of intrepidation from the parents, happiness, and a little bit of fear from the kids as well. I had four that went to university, and I know that mixed emotion feeling, and you think, right. Job done, they're on their way. And then for two families, it all went horribly wrong and unexpectedly dreadful. And I am honoured and privileged to be talking this morning to Mrs. Emma Webber, who is the mother of Barnaby Webber. And of course, his friend Grace O'Malley was also murdered. And one day I'm going to get the daddy on for that as well, I hope. But so Emma Webber, she's going to tell her stuff for about 45 minutes, and it's a great privilege to have her. So here we go then. Emma, hello. Lovely to see you, looking radiant and gorgeous.
So are you, and so are you, Marilyn, of course. Yeah, thank you. It's part of what
Oh
a scarf
dear.
can do with a t-shirt, isn't
I
it?
know makeup, the joys of makeup. I mean, I really don't know where to start because I remember when this happened, 13th of June 2023. It's etched in my memory. And I remember going right back to every one of my children that went away. And if they went to a nightclub, how worried I would be. And then that happened to you, and it happened to Grace's parents, and obviously Ian Coates. But I was absolutely heartbroken for you, and I didn't know what to do. But I went to our local church and I lit a candle and I put a little thing in the prayer stone and I had a mass said for you. But I don't know how you look so good and how you've coped over the 3 years and your extraordinary campaigning for what should never have happened, and especially given the NHS core values, which are, of course, well, they're not. I've got them written down here because I work with the NHS as well. Respect, dignity, compassion, commitment, and improving lives. I think they've failed on all of those, haven't they? You tell
Yeah.
me.
I think the one word as well is care, that care and treatment. Neither of those were something that they had achieved for many years with the man that murdered my son. But yeah, thank you for I don't know how I'm here. Genuinely don't know how I'm still here. Because if somebody had said to me 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago now, this would have happened, my reaction would have been, well, I couldn't stay. I wouldn't live. I wouldn't be able to do this.
Mm.
And somehow I know you've faced the most awful adversity as well, and you just do. Um, and there's a clarity of mind and a purpose, because it wasn't just a tragedy and just a catastrophic life event that happened to us. It was the most grievous, imaginable,
Mm.
unfathomable layers and layers and layers of failure, and not just with the NHS, but with every single, without exception, every single public agency. And the more we questioned, as every parent or every victim of, every loved one of a victim has a right to do, the more failure we just uncovered, and the more cover-ups, and it never got better. It just got worse and continues to. So I think that's why we have the strength to do this, because I think it's because I'm a mum. It's because I'm Barney's mum. But the human spirit is a remarkable thing. What it enables you to cope with.
It does. I know with I mean, I didn't have what you have, thank goodness. But I mean, something died inside of me the day that I was told two of my three boys had been sexually abused. And I, I just went out in the kitchen and was physically sick.
Yeah.
And I had a nervous breakdown. I thought I was going to murder him. I told the police I would, and they said, can't do that. But there was no way when he walked out of court free that he, as far as I was concerned, was going to walk the streets. And I campaigned like you, and I managed to get to the High Court of Appeal, and I won, and he went to prison. And that was great for my children because they could see. I know Barnaby is up there looking down on you and going, "Great stuff, Mum."
Yeah.
He will be, but he's not there to say it. But I mean, how are the family now? Because you have another son, don't you?
Charlie, yeah, you talked about A-level results, and that was us last week. He had his, he's 18 now. He was 15 when it happened, and he's 19 next month because he's an old one in the year. Is Charlie. So, we went we've been through that for the second time, but my God, what a different second time it was. So we're doing okay. I mean, he is resilient, he's remarkable. He is one of the most extraordinary human beings. And I'm often told, oh, I can't imagine what you're going through. And I find that difficult to hear because I don't want to hear that from people. I don't want what I assume they're thinking is, thank God it wasn't me and how dreadful. And but I even say to Charlie, I can't imagine what you're going through because it was your brother and you were 15, you were a child, and everything for I've lived half a century on this planet, and he'd been here for 15 years and Barney only 19. And I can never, and I will never come to terms with that, and I'm not going to try, I don't think. But your fortitude and your resilience and your determination to not let this enormous miscarriage of justice happen, what you felt in your scenario, everything is exactly what I felt as well. And
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
God, that I said to you when we spoke privately, that the fury I feel at the perpetrator, there's there's I try not to go down that rabbit hole, but I wish nothing positive for him. There will never be forgiveness, and he is not serving punishment for what he did, and he manipulated the system. So yeah, it's unfathomable and unforgivable, the true extent and evil of his crimes. But what I will show Charlie, and ergo Barnaby as well, is that there's more good than bad out there, and that right will wrong
Hmm.
will
Hmm.
overcome wrong
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
end.
Hmm.
And truth does always out if you eventually. But what we don't want to be is like a Hillsborough family where it's taken them 30 years of the most extraordinary campaigning and fighting to get just what is morally and legally the right thing to do. And yeah, so in Charlie's sake, and for other young people, actually not for, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're young or, it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 180. However old you are, everyone has a right to justice. And when a wrong thing happens, then it's got to be righted.
I mean, I couldn't believe when it was our turn, if you like, I couldn't believe how inept the Crown prosecution, the courts,
Oh,
the judge was even corrupt. And that's when I was, I was told it'd be contempt of court. But I said, there's no way. I don't care. Throw the key away. That man is going down. That
yeah,
man has, I mean, I have never, like you, I imagine, I have never felt such focused
yeah,
anger. It was like a white heat, like a laser burning into my soul and into my heart. My sole focus was that this man is going down. I couldn't think or do of anything else. And I don't know if you found with your family, when we were all in a good space-ish, it was okay. And one or two were in a bad place, we got through. But one day, if you're all in that black space, it was hell. You
yeah.
you can't you can't help the other person because your trauma is going down the gurgler, as is everybody else's. And you're like, I can't deal with all this, and I don't know if that's how you found at times.
Yeah, yeah, all of that and some, because everyone's in different places, and also everybody deals with things and trauma differently. And
Mm,
what
mm.
what's difficult, and I've chosen to be really completely transparent about what's happening to me,
Yeah, me too.
the positive stuff, then there's not much of it, but the negative stuff and the reality of it, because I don't feel I've got any. There's no point in me having this fight, and calling for transparency and honesty, and not doing it myself. And
Mm.
I've been forced to do this because I have to, and it's none of it is my fault. Um, those that aren't telling the truth, that is their fault, and they need to tell the truth. So by example, if I've got nothing in my cupboards, I've got nothing to hide or embellish or defend, then it makes you a formidable opponent, I think. And but it's also part of that is admitting that when it's bad, it's really bad, and there are days, and sometimes more than days, where you just can't do it. and you have to, and you learn to recognize those, because if
Mm-mm,
you try
mm.
to push through it, you actually end up making it worse for yourself. And there have been times throughout this, Marilyn, where I've recognized if there's not some sort of intervention, or I don't do something, I'm going off that cliff. And if I go, I
Mm,
know I wouldn't come
mm.
back. So I've got enough presence of mind now to know when I really do have to
Yes,
let
yes.
that, not
I'm the
necessarily
same.
develop you. It's just knowing that that's not a day to do something, and then there are
Exactly.
other days where you can and you do it. But because like you say about family particularly, when something awful happens to you in your family group, normally you're the person suffering from it, and you have
Yes.
somebody else that can pick you up and carry you through. Whereas in our situation, when I'm having a terrible time, which is a lot, I look at Dave and like my husband Dave, and I know he's having a terrible time,
Mm,
and the same with Charlie. So I see their pain, and so
mm,
often it's easier to just my tendency is I'll go into myself, because then I'd rather just deal with my pain and deal with all of my pain than share it with them. But you
mm.
learn, and you learn, and like, we had a joyous day last week when it was A-level results day,
Yes.
and but I knew that was coming in, and mentally had planned for it, emotionally I planned for it, and so did Charlie, and so did Dave. But of course there was that, of course there's never going to be, sadly, I don't think a minute of my life where I won't carry this physical leaden weight
Mm,
of sadness
mm,
and
mm,
loss. And you learn to, somebody said to me, you learn it's there alongside you. You don't ever get over it, you don't want to be under it, and it's not part of you, but it's there alongside you. And I think that's where we are, is
I think I can
trying to accept that.
totally, utterly resonate with that. I mean, I'm further down, what if you want to call it healing, or I mean, I never had, I can't imagine. I really can't. What irritated me though was people, and it's because they don't understand. And I've often said, if you don't know what to say nothing. Just hold their hand, give me a hug, whatever. But the number of people back through those years, and it's like 20 years ago for me, that have actually said, that have said, you're very you're very brave, you're very courageous. And I went, no, I'm not. I mean, I really, and I said, well, I don't want to be called that. Like you say, you arrived in a heartbeat into a situation in life you never thought you'd have to focus on.
Yeah,
And it will, like with me, it's always going to be there. It's
yeah,
always going to be there. And I had a lovely friend who was a priest, and I can remember saying to him, how will I ever forgive this guy? And he said there are some things that are actually unforgivable. And he said there are some things that, I was brought up a Catholic, I'm not anymore, but, there are some things that even God himself wouldn't expect you always to forgive. You've tried, and sometimes you won't make it, because nothing is worse than the abuse, or in your case, murder. And it was murder. I don't care what they say, it's not
100%.
manslaughter. It was murder. Because not everybody, and he might have been mentally ill, but I still maintain they not that stupid. They are not. They know how to play the system.
Yeah,
Vikram, who killed Hanu Novak, he knew how to play the system, and he's still doing it. And they do. They do know, and that's what's so irritating, that
yeah.
they.
It
So how did you get on? Because Monday, I remember when we were speaking last, you were going to a meeting in London, weren't you?
Yeah, it's your life, when you get that news, your life pivots, and I realize now that moment, within, I would say, 3 seconds, everything that I'd ever
Mm,
known has changed,
that's
and
right.
it will never go back.
No,
So as you progress, because I say you never get over it, you live with it alongside you, and there are times sometimes when that's bigger and heavier than you are. But um my world, my normal now is so unusual and so abnormal compared to my
mm,
old life and a lot of my
mm,
friends' lives. And so yeah, I've the sort of things that I know about, talk about, understand, have exposed, the level of people I speak with, and the amount of engagements and meetings I get invited to now and go to, are unfathomable to most people. And I've been part of the Law Commission review process of the homicide laws, which are decades overdue. There was some change back in 2006 as the last time there were any significant shifts to the homicide laws in this country. And before that, we're going back sort of we're going back to the 50s and 60s. Diminished responsibilities brought in because manslaughter because of the death penalty. Lots of it's there's a whole backstory. So I've been involved in the roundtable discussions and the reviews with the Law Commission with regards to what's happening, and I've put on my social media feeds on X and Substack and what's the other one? YouTube. Now the where they are with the consultation papers and what the recommendations are looking to be, and it is a much needed shift, and it's a much needed recognition of. This is a long way of answering your question about the people like Ruda Cabana, that, Vikram Gai, and Kalakane, amongst many others, is mentally unwell offenders who are criminals, who are murderers. It's a mental health crime, of
Yes.
homicide. Because there was nothing, they couldn't fit a box, and so they get away with murder. And whereas the homicide laws, will I hope and pray, when they're amended, that it will, it's not filling a gap, but it's doing what is legally morally the right thing to do, is recognizing the gravity of their crimes alongside the fact that they do have a mental illness. I would argue that there are very few instances in this world where a murder, a crime of that nature is committed without some form of mental unwellness in the head, who wouldn't
Oh,
be unwell, even
yeah.
if you're doing it, even if you're, I mean, you're going back to like sort of gangster, like murders and things like that, to be able to take another life, you're
Oh,
not going to be fully compromised in your head, in my opinion, but I'm not a
but
psychiatrist.
no, but I sit there with you. I'm the same. I mean, there's
And
some.
it's so what they've done is they've exploited, manipulated the system, and we've had that. We've proven that Kalakane knew what he was doing. We've
Yeah.
proven he planned. We've proven that he was capable of great insight, and he had culpability, and he knew what he was doing.
Mm,
That alongside a serious psychosis and illness. But what happened was it was just one of those awful deck of cards where it just all started to crumble because there was a terrible investigation. There'd been cover-ups because of failures to detain him in the
mm,
past and
mm.
arrest him and care for him. So if you put all of that together, then the crime happens, and then there's a really weak investigation, a poor investigation with loads of deliberately missed investigative points and unused evidence, then the most appalling CPS prosecution. Um, and then disposal in the judge, and it's just carried on and carried on and carried on.
Yes,
So we've
yes.
ultimately ended up with him being a patient, not a prisoner. This lauded indefinite hospital order, the public will go, well, it's indefinite. That means infinite. He's got, he's not gone. That most indefinite hospital orders, the offender, the murderer, is out within 10 years. That's over 90%. So it's not what it is sort of the PR is led with. So we've got a huge campaign on our hands, and at the moment it's uncovering and exposing the failures and
Disgusting. It's
holding them to account.
disgusting.
But we will, Marilyn, we will, by God, I will prove whatever it takes that
Yeah.
Callaghan is in the wrong place. It was the most abhorrent miscarriage of justice. And if the law isn't there at this moment in time, you change it. You make it the right thing to do. Look how what they're trying to do at the moment with the early release of prisoners, and how things can happen to suit the public outcry and narrative. So if I have to chain myself naked
Oh,
to
that's exactly
any
what I
gate,
said.
any
I said that.
building, maybe not naked actually, I'm far too old for that
Oh,
malarkey.
I wouldn't want to scare people.
Yeah, thanks. No, but I've said, and I only have this. This is all I've got, is my honesty. I've got no other hope
That's right.
of getting justice for that boy unless I do whatever is within my physical, emotional, mental means to do.
Yeah,
And
that's how I felt.
Hurricane
That's
won't
how
come
I
out.
felt.
Over my dead body will that man ever walk the streets again,
Yeah.
and
You see,
whatever it takes.
do you? I think, and I'm not a nasty, vicious person. I'm
No,
not,
I'm really not. It sounds like I am, but
I
for
mean,
him,
no,
I
no. I
am.
often say for you, I think we should bring back the death penalty. I'm sorry, I think we should. I mean, Alabama now has brought in only about a month ago the death penalty for anybody that abuses or kills a child under 18. Sexually abuses. There you go. Why do we need to pay for Calican? Why should we pay for him? Why should we pay for Vikram? Why should we pay for whatever his name is? I
Ruda
don't like even saying
Cabana.
it. Down at I used to live up the road from Broadmoor. And why should we? I'm sorry.
It's yeah. Do you know what's been interesting actually over interesting what I've observed over the past 3 years is I remember particular one interview I was doing with one television channel that one of the presenters said, and she said, Emma, I wish the death penalty would come back. And I could see the sort of intake of breath with the studio manager, and so that was 3 years ago. that comment is coming back time and time and time again. And do you know what? It was even raised. I'm not going to say who it was raised by, but it was raised by somebody in the Law Commission, not by the Law Commission, but somebody that was part of the round table discussion and considerations that I was at earlier this week. And because there is that recognition of he is of no purpose to this world. He will
Absolutely.
never be rehabilitated. He is
Can't
the
exactly.
most heinous crimes. He's never coming out. He's costing about 500,000 a year to
What's the
keep
point?
this monster alive.
What's the point?
Um, and as we get nothing. The victims lose. They lose their livelihoods, they lose their health, they lose their relationships. We get no support. There's no advocacy of the victims in this. The person that's protected is the perpetrator. And that's another campaign, that's another story. But I'm not, I have to choose uh, my key points and my key calls for action and
Mm.
change. And uh, I would say I don't want him in this world. I can't bear the
Yeah.
thought of that monster still
No.
breathing oxygen that he doesn't deserve. I have to park that. What I have to campaign for and what I have to do is overturn this miscarriage of justice.
That's right. So when it was Jeff Carney, and I did an online campaign across the whole of the southeast of England to change the sex offender and paedophilia sentencing laws, and won. And I got something like, I don't know, 50,000 signatures. I was absolutely. See, I don't like the word. Somebody said to me
You're
the
going to
other
say
day,
campaigner word.
I don't like the campaigner word, and yet that's what we've become. I
Yeah,
mean, tell you what, GB News called me. I said, "Don't you dare say that. There's a massive difference between being an activist and a campaigner." And before I went on air, this lady said, "I do a lot on GB News." Said, "Oh, and of course you're an activist." I am not an activist. I'm not some weirdo that paints orange paint everywhere. But I will always
no,
campaign in a sensible, intelligent way, like you. I will always campaign because, I do agree with, I mean, Grace's dad, well, I've got it here, what he said, we can't, it's so right, and what you're saying, we can't have these inquiries without meaningful change afterwards.
yeah,
Absolutely right. He's
yeah,
right. But which is what gets me, though. He references this, I didn't know about this, it was in 93, the Ritchie inquiry
Clueless,
set up to
yeah,
examine the care and treatment of what Christopher Clunas, who was a
yeah,
mentally ill man who killed this musician,
yeah.
Jonathan Sito, right? Led to the publication of numerous recommendations, none of which have been taken up.
No, do you know, we've got the clueless, we've got the report. If you read it and you just you anonymize some of the names, the places, and the dates, and individuals, then you would think you were reading about us. It's
Yes,
that bad. It's a repetition. It's a stark repetition of what happened. What is that? 30 years ago?
yes, yes, 1990. I
And
mean, this is
actually,
before I knew I was going to be facing 1992, before I knew I was going to be facing what I had to face.
yeah,
But no,
it's actually gotten worse.
yes. Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I believe I've started that. I was thinking about this over the summer when there was a lot of the anti-Semitism, and there was the reaction to some of those awful, completely needless acts of aggression, but fixation, these people that are activists that fixated and that carry out these awful, unwarranted attacks on others, on certain types. It's very easy to start shouting about, we'll put more, we'll support the Jewish community more, we'll put more 20 million of more police on the streets. What they're not, that the horse is bolted and gone, the
Mhm.
gates, it's shattered. It's what you're dealing with is, you're dealing with a mental health crisis. You're dealing with, these people aren't being treated, and people that are mentally unwell absolutely deserve and should be treated appropriately at every single stage of whatever their illness
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
When it gets to a point where there's public safety at risk, that has to come above patient rights. It does.
100%.
And I do believe we're a passive reactive state in this country now. And we're
100%.
so fearful of having uncomfortable conversations about race, about culture, about beliefs, about age. We talked about color, about psychosis in black men. Why? why are we not having those conversations? It's recognized that certain cultures are more predisposed to certain health conditions.
Absolutely. You see
Mental
them
health is a
coming, but
condition, it's a health condition, and
it,
we're putting fear of stigma above protection of the public.
safeguarding comes right down the bottom of the list. I mean, it's dreadful. You see, I am not racist. I have a black stepdaughter-in-law. She's utterly gorgeous, and most lovely, lovely black people that are in this country that are working among us, that are working in the NHS, that, are contributing to society, are not like the lot coming in on the boats. I mean, just something the other day said, oh, there's another load coming in. Oh, look, I can see NHS consultants there and a few barristers coming in on the boats, but they get off and they all look positively deranged because they've had terrible situations in their own country. They come in with all their diseases and you don't know what. I mean, you've only got to reference Rhiannon White, that poor girl. I mean,
Yeah,
how can anyone, I don't know how anyone can stab anyone, 40 times that poor girl. Dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And I feel the society has changed so much, not for the better in England, that, I think the death penalty has to come in because we're not like we were back in the 60s and the 70s. I can remember the last person that was hung, and my dad telling me when I was a little girl, the death penalty is now over, and he said, "Oh, there were mistakes when people were," and I'm sure there were because we didn't have DNA then. But DNA will confirm what you need to know. And I know I sound horrible and disgusting, but anyway, I mean, so moving on because
yeah.
I want.
When you have this awful experience, and you if you have an opportunity to talk with some knowledge and authority and things, then why wouldn't you? And um, I don't recognise any colour or age or sexes. If you're dangerous, you're dangerous. And that as part of what I'm going to be doing on my YouTube channel, I'm going to do much more of a deep dive on certain things. And trust me, that I've got quite a big one on the Calican family and their history. They come from Guinea-Bissau. He wasn't in his country, Calican, until he was 16. And I'm
Uh,
not being vindictive or racist or bullying in
no,
any way,
no,
despite what his brother thinks. We're not bullying. I
no.
want the truth. I need to know about the history and the background of this individual because it
Yes.
didn't come out of nowhere. And we've proven that already with some of the evidence. And there's even more evidence that's come out in the last couple of months. So it isn't it I can understand how it can come across as being vindictive and pernicious and racist, and it isn't that. But by God, I don't care what colour anyone is, including myself. It's like, you took my child,
Exactly.
and he should have been stopped, and he wasn't stopped by countless authorities and individuals
Yes.
and family. And so I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
I
And
don't, how do you find when you say, you've got the evidence, you've proved it? What are people willing to? I mean, have you gone on to the freedom of information stuff, or are they willing to give you
can't
documents?
even begin to tell you, Marilyn, how because people start. I hope they don't glaze over in a board way. They glaze over in a it's all if it weren't factual, and if I hadn't seen hard evidence, you wouldn't believe, you would think I was making it up as a mum
Yeah.
who just wants to be vengeful and prove stuff. When I've spoken to our legal team, our barrister and our lawyer, Tim Maloney, who is our KC, said, Emma, in his, I can't do his northern accent because he's from Hull, but
No, I can never do it either.
I love Tim. Tim is one of my favorite people I've ever met. But he said to me, Emma, I have in all, and he's older than me, so I don't know, was he late 50s, mid 50s? He said, I've never experienced such gross level of failure and so much
No.
on it even flabbergasts them. And that's because we forensically go through every single letter, every single document, push back, do freedom of information requests, have a statutory public inquiry, and therefore you have to have everything released. And by God, when you see that, then you realize just honestly just how bad it is.
Mm.
So bit by
And you
bit,
think
we'll
also,
we'll
though, Emma, you
the
think
inquiry isn't going to be the only conduit to getting what we need done, but you cannot rely on having these enormously expensive, in-depth statutory
no,
inquiry. They shouldn't be happening in the
they,
first
they,
place.
they shouldn't. They shouldn't. And what gets me is how they
Let's
come
make
out.
this
The
one
first
count.
thing they ever say is lessons will be learned. No, they aren't because they never are learned. No one
No,
turns up for the class to
never
learn what the
will be
lesson should
unless we
be.
fundamentally change it. No,
I mean, do you
my husband
remember
said,
Victoria Colombier? the case
Oh,
there. You
yeah.
know, 17, 20 of those recommendations still haven't been taken up. Baby P, because this is the sort of work that I get involved in. Same thing. You know, it's just bilge. They come out with a load of bilge, and I get really irritated because nothing. I will never, like you, I will never lose that passion for the protection of a child's life and ultimately the parents, because the domino effect is huge, isn't it? I mean, it's huge. I mean, I lost, and I mean, I'm sure you must have done, because people, I think, thought I was just, oh my God. I mean, it's pedophilia. I mean, this is going to be like, we're going to catch it like measles. People fell away from my life like snowflakes.
Well, they should have been there in the first place. It's seasonal people, isn't it?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
seasons
Yeah.
can be, you can have someone in your life for that season can be, say, all of your child raising years, and you could have been friends with someone, and we've had friendships that have definitely become strained.
Mm.
And often of no fault of any individual, but people just don't know how to deal with it, and so choose to look the other way, or we've chosen to, we just can't really, we don't see them enough, so it's, I don't want to go through it all every time. So definitely relationships have changed, not all for the better, but on the whole, when the chips are down, you know who your friends are, and you know who's around you, and it's been quite extraordinary, the strength that we've gotten from the people that quite literally hold us up sometimes.
And they come out the woodwork, don't they, that you
Yeah,
never thought. I can
yeah,
remember thinking, goodness, I mean, my 19-year-old son, when this happened, said to me, well, these people that are walking away from you, Mum, just let go of them. They weren't meant to be. My dad used to equate it to a harbour, and he used to say to me, well, some ships come into a dry dock and they're there for ages and ages, and maybe forever. Others are like a cruise ship; they come in overnight and they're gone again. Others hover around in their sailing boats, and it's a bit like relationships. And I thought, actually, that's very true. Actually, that, and I can
it
equate
completely
that. I
is.
can see that in people that, as you rightly say, and I think that's a better way of saying it, actually, it's a season. Well, there's that thing, isn't there? To everything there is a season, or whatever, that song or whatever.
Yeah,
But
and
tell
I
me,
think it doesn't have to be like a short season. It's not a physical,
no,
weather season, but it is, and I recognize that. And there's also an element of I don't have the bandwidth to worry about individuals in
hmm
that level too much. And so I
hmm
think, okay, where I have got to concentrate my energies is not in worrying about why they don't bother coming around, or sending, Charlie a message on his 18th
yes,
birthday, or, and you can easily fester. You do stop sweating the small stuff, and that's
yeah,
so
oh,
annoying.
whoa,
The
and
way I,
some,
yeah, I mean, I'm much, it's fundamentally made me a much kinder person, and
me too.
it takes a lot to get me genuinely, I can park things that previously would have really bugged me. And
Yes,
I got this
yes,
tattoo here because I was listening to Mel Robbins podcast about her, let them is it's actually a bit like what you said, is if people are going to do that, then I can't make them change.
no,
I don't want to try and make them change, because that puts energy and stress on me. They're not going to do it unless they want to do it, so let them. And as soon as you give that permission to you to stop worrying and thinking about it,
that's
then
right.
actually you can just move on. And some of my friends, and they'd be the first to recognize a couple in particular where, we both struggled a bit over the last 18 months or so, but have been able to speak about it, and then come back. And that's the season where it maybe ebbs and flows a little bit. And yeah, it's all on so many levels. When something like this happens to you, everything changes
It,
in your.
it does. It absolutely does. I mean, we lost everything that we ever owned because I had a nervous
Yeah.
breakdown.
And you're not
I
the first person I've spoken to that's gone through this terrible,
Yeah, I lost my house because
I
I
completely
was
understand.
missold health insurance. That, oh, we don't do mental health, and I lost my beautiful £1 million, 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom house in Sussex. And I thought, and like you say, I just said, I would not want to have had to go through this to become a better person. But
Yeah.
that is the lesson. And I do think life is I think, well, at least I've lived life. I know what pain is. I know what heartache is. I know what love is. I know what to let go is like. I didn't think it could get any more painful until my one of my twins had a baby, and Rodney, who's filming this, knows, had a baby born 18 months ago. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful baby. Beautiful. 5 years waiting for this lovely baby. Stunning little girl. Then at 4 months, she started getting seizures. And
Oh,
then they discovered that she had lysanthropy, which is flat brain. So she's born disabled.
oh,
And then they gave her, I mean, this girl, talk about the power of prayer. This little one was given the prognosis that she won't live to be two. And
oh,
she's, honestly, I will never forget my son phoning me on a Zoom call, literally trying to pull out his hair. And
yeah,
this is a much love it. My golly, I will send you some photographs of her. She's trying to talk. She can sit up. She's got
okay.
a mobile little car thing that she drives around in. She can, she knows her family. And I think, you know what? Two fingers to you. You took, and this is one thing I always say to everybody, never take anyone's hope away because that's maybe all they've got left.
Yeah,
And those NHS staff were brutal in the way they told my son, brutal. And I thought, where's the compassion on this list of
yeah,
respect and dignity and compassion, eh? And living nice, improving lives. It's a load of tosh. It
yeah.
really is. I mean, but I'm like you. I have to look. I know if my mental health, I mean, because the cracks will always be there. I still have left over from that time, and I'll be quite honest with you. And I'm like you, I'm very open. None of this was my fault. I didn't lose my house because I was bad at money. I lost it because it was a crime,
Yeah.
and lost everything.
You're
But
a
I think
victim.
I've
You,
lost
you you were a
everything.
victim, and you have nothing to apologize or defend
No, and
or
I,
explain.
I'm not living in Syria. I've got a house. My children pay my rent. I lost everything that would enable me to buy a house, right? And I don't care. I don't care telling people if you've got a problem with it, go.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
bother
I-
me.
I'm a bit like that with my health and diagnosis of what this has physically done to me and medication because I think why wouldn't I be? Because it's just it is what it is. But it's and I suffer from all kinds of panic
Yes.
and anxiety attacks.
Oh, panic attacks.
Uh,
Awful.
yeah,
Awful. PTSD.
something will trigger me
Yeah.
and then it'll build
I'm
into.
I'm the same, and I have to close down the laptop. Do you have? I have a dog, and
I've got two, and
I
I
love
think
them.
the
I love
cookie
them.
cutter of two, but they're
I
really nice.
actually, I'm not being funny. I actually prefer dogs to most people.
Yeah, I know. I do. I yeah. Yeah. Huge. Nature and animals are
Yes,
hugely healing.
yes, they are.
And I've always been. If people don't like animals, I'm suspicious of them.
I am. I am. I'm
I
just
think
the
you
same.
judge someone by how they treat animals, and
Oh,
but then also I don't. I find people that don't drink hot drinks a bit weird.
yeah, but you know what? I'm not being. I swear my dog is
Ribena, have
racist.
a coffee.
My dog is racist. I swear my dog is racist. If so, we had a guy. She's black. She's a black Labrador, right? And we had a
Oh, I
guy
love
coming
Black
to the
Lab.
door last night who was trying to raise money for dementia, and he was African. He was charming, and she was like,
Oh, she's protecting you. She's protecting you. Do you know where you say Barney always wanted a black lab. That's
"Oh,
all.
did he?"
And I'm a right old. I no, we're going to the shelter. We're going to get all our animals are all rescue animals and stuff. But I have said that if one day I will get either for Charlie or for us, I will get a black lab.
I waited until, funny enough,
Because they're the most beautiful dogs, and I
and they
don't
are
think
gorgeous.
anybody
She's
really
beautiful.
wants it.
I got the first black lab when for the boys, all the boys, when we knew about this child abuse, and we got
Oh,
this
I bet
puppy.
he or she was an
Oh,
absolute lifesaver.
when Max died, seriously, he took some of my heart with me. I was dead. That dog kept me alive.
Family, it's
He kept me
family.
alive. He always knew my mood. He always knew. And I worry. I worry about, I can understand people not wanting them, sort of, but people don't like them. That really worries me. That bothers me. So what I want to move on to before we go, I really want to know about, see, you're like me. I started the charity Freedom from Abuse, and you're doing a Barnaby Weber Foundation. We're going to put all the pictures of Barnaby up on this program, and we want to put your logo up, and we want to tell us what it actually does.
Yeah, it's when there was such an outpouring of grief and condolences and people wanting to do something when all of this happened, and people don't know what to do. And I'm the same. You send flowers, you send cards, you want to give money to something, and we just didn't really know what to do. But what I did know is I didn't want people giving money to pay for his,
Yeah.
I call it send off. because it just felt I just couldn't bear the thought of it. So the sort of people wanting to donate, and there were so many comments coming in, and so we set up just a GoFundMe, which we were going to collect monies and then give to relevant charities which we knew were kind of represented the sort of person, Barney's personality, which then led to the Barnaby Webber Foundation being set up, and that is it's quite broad reaching in as much as it's a bit like him. It's just being that uh, it's there to support young people who are facing life challenges in whatever those happen to be: financial, emotional, sexual, physical, and that can be charities or individuals. And just making that, that hand on the shoulder to make life a little bit easier for the parents or for the families. And also the second part of the foundation is to support grassroots cricket. It encourages
Oh, I was just going to say
He's a
your
massive
logo,
yeah,
your
yeah, he's a massive cricket fan. And I don't know how much we've raised. I think it's well over, I don't know, 250,000, it's sort of
wow.
300,000 now. Yeah, and there's a board, there's trustees, and on the website where all the funds have gone to, and actually you do see that, his the beacon, the personality traits that he had. He was always very quietly, if you liked you, he liked you, and he didn't care about your background. It's very non-judgmental,
Yeah.
and he would always be the first to just, be that hand on the shoulder if somebody needed a bit of support, or, he wanted to help. He wasn't big and grand about it, but he would always be like, he had so many people that said to us, "Oh, he was my best friend. He was my,"
Mm.
there's so many people said that. And so I suppose with the foundation, that's just that's a way of taking his light forwards a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I'm just looking at that photo of him behind your right
Beautiful.
shoulder. He's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
handsome boy, such a
Really, yeah.
beautiful smile. So Grace was his best friend, was she, with a
They're
girlfriend?
really close. Yeah, in their first year at university, she was the only girl that he actually told me about, and I think there were quite a lot of lady friends. So,
Well, I'm
so
not surprised. I mean, he's a
yeah,
babe magnet, isn't he?
I know he did,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I
he
mean, the
did.
thing is, she's one. I read the other day she's been given some posthumous award, hasn't she, for the way she.
Yeah, for bravery. She could have run and she didn't. She stayed to try and fight because Callaghan fixated on young male students and targeted Barney first. Barney didn't have a hope. And that monster, well, he was so brutal. And yeah, so Grace is incredible. And the fact that Barney had told me about her, I know she was special. And we've worked and campaigned alongside Sanjoy and Sinead, who are Grace's mum and dad, and
So are
James.
you friends? I mean, you must be. Are you
Yeah.
friends with the parents now? Yeah, you see, it
I'd
brings
like to
out.
think we would have been anyway because of the two of them, but
Yes.
obviously we've been thrown together in the worst
Yes, yes,
scenarios. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I found that people have come into my life who I never thought were out there that have become now like almost, I call them my freedom from abuse family. They might not have had the experience, but they have the empathy and they have the
There's a
intellect.
connection. There's a connection with people, and there's some of Sinead and Sanjoy's family and friends that we've become close to. The same with the Coates family. The same with some of the
Oh,
survivors and our legal team. But also there've been numbers. There's a few members of the press and other people who are,
yes.
I say campaigners, but who are, I don't know what to call them, but there are other people that have come in and supported us and helped us, that have genuinely crossed over into becoming, I think,
I
part of our
know,
life
I
and
know.
friends. And you
It's
realise how much good is out there, and there are some astonishingly good people out there. And also within the agencies that fail, it's very easy to think that I hate everyone in the NHS and the police, and I don't. I there are some astonishingly good police and
mm, mm,
psychiatrists out there, and physicians and clinicians
mm,
who
mm,
have nothing but respect for.
yes.
We had the worst can of worms, the rot in the apples, unfortunately, and we've exposed them, and we will make sure they're held to account for what they did. But that doesn't mean that there isn't more people out there who are really good at their jobs, who can do their jobs properly.
Oh, there are, but you see, they don't make headlines, do they? That's
No,
the
they don't
trouble.
make headlines, but what we do need to, so the headlines are the ones that fail. The headlines need to be, and they've gone, and they've paid the price for their failures. And
Yes.
and it's, I get frustrated when, like, I'm apolitical on this, I have to be. But the discourse that you hear on the news about, I don't know, expenses or phone
Yes.
calls or you think, oh, can we just get on with doing what we need to do in this country? Can we just leave them alone and to do their jobs? But I don't,
And
you
can we
know,
stop talking about Harry and Meghan?
yeah, and whether she might go back to acting. Great, if you let her, you know, anyway, don't get
Emma,
involved.
Emma, I'm going to have to go because I'm going to be nudged. You need to go. Do you know, I'm not being funny. I said to Rodney before you came on today, I said, I just feel, sometimes you meet people and you connect. And I just feel if I lived near it, and Somerset isn't a long way, I feel we would be friends because I feel a real synergy with you
You
that,
do, you have this, and I don't know what it is, but and it isn't like a pity party. It's just you just have a, you know, you just get it. But you can also talk about other things, and but I think the way it shapes you, the way that this kind of tragedy and grief shapes you, and when you have fought and you are winning that battle, I think you recognize similar types of people. So
oh, that you've been through, you've walked that path and you know the rocks that come at your way and the tsunami impact. And I mean, honestly, you've done stonkingly well in 3 years. I mean, truly, you have. Barnaby would be and is very proud of you and shining down on you. Somewhere up in that stars, I have to think about night sky. I
yeah,
always
I
look
always
up
think
and
that.
go, you're up there somewhere.
Yeah, and I do feel honestly he's given me this somehow he's given me
Absolutely.
this purpose.
Absolutely.
We'll meet in
I'm going to come down and see you because I love Somerset anyway. But I just felt the first time I've wanted to meet you for so long. And I was so proud when you said, yes, I will. I thought, oh, wow,
well,
Hilary
no,
is
good
going to
morning.
talk
Thank
to
you for
me.
inviting me. No, thank you for
And
listening
this
to
is
me.
going to go out across America. It's going across 12 platforms, my lovely. So let's hope people do pile in that money for the foundation because
Well,
that's
yeah, and you know and it's lovely to hear from let's hear from good people with good stories and support because yeah, it makes a big difference and it makes a big difference when you're having a really rubbish day just to get that you know a kind message or to know that someone's praying for you or thinking about you or your
yes.
son,
Yes,
your
yes,
children or
you
whoever
can,
you've got.
and let me tell you, you can call me anytime because
Oh,
I do as best as I can understand. I haven't gone that extra 10 miles that you've had to do,
I
but
mean,
I
you
do
pushed back and
understand the
you
harm
won.
of a child from a criminal. I get it. And I know the fallout. I mean, my sister didn't talk to me for 10 years and all sorts. Now we're all talking again. It
Good.
does, it's the domino effect. It's not a pebble dropped in. It's a blooming great boulder that's dropped
Yeah,
in the stream, and and you will survive this. You will. You're
yeah,
strong. You're doing it, and
we're
I
so
will be.
far.
If there's anything you think I can help with the foundation, I would be happy to do. If anything you can think of, however little, and that's why I'm pleased for this because I know you are going to be of a big wider audience from what we've done today, and I'm emotionally proud of seeing you. So
Oh, it's nice to meet you.
love to meet, and I'm going to see you.
Yeah, well, it's much better you can
I'm going to come and have a few jars with
wine.
you.
Yeah, cider.
Have a wonderful weekend, and
And
please keep me
you.
posted on everything you're doing because
Yeah,
I really want to. I've gone all shivery.
yeah, no,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Well, you know where I am on
Yeah, so and love to all your family and to
and
Charlie
yours.
and the dogs.
And send me those pictures of your granddaughter. I want to see her.
Oh, I will. I will. She's a little sweetheart.
Yeah.
She is going to. She'll always have a few little issues, but she's absolute polar opposite of what a certain big hospital told her prognosis was.
Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I want her one day to walk into their clinic and go, "Hi."
Yeah, yeah. She will, and she
All
will.
right, my darling. And
Take
love to
care.
David. I mean, I'm sorry he wasn't there to make me a virtual coffee this morning.
I know. Yeah. God.
Where is he?
Do you know what he's doing today? What time is it? Yeah, he's going down to the cricket in a minute.
I don't
He's in
blame him.
Somerset with the
I
cricket.
don't blame him. You
I'm
take care,
not.
my loves. You take care and lovely. Thank you so much. God
Okay,
bless.
take
Bye
care.
bye bye bye.